Most people think childhood trauma is about memories. Bad events. Things you can remember and talk about. But that's not how it really works. The truth is, people who went through a lot as kids don't just carry memories. They carry automatic reactions. Reflexes built so early and so deeply that they feel like personality. But they're not. They're survival programs that never shut off. They show up when a plan gets cancelled and your chest tightens. When someone says, "We need to talk," and your mind immediately jumps to the worst conclusion. When rest feels uncomfortable instead of relaxing. When a compliment feels suspicious, like there must be a catch. And most adults don't realize where any of this comes from, because these patterns don't announce themselves. They don't say, "This is childhood trauma." They just quietly run your life in the background. When a child grows up in an unsafe environment, whether that's being ignored, emotionally neglected, criticized, living in chaos, or never having someone stable to rely on, something very specific happens in their brain. Scientists call it toxic stress. Normal stress actually helps kids grow. It teaches problem solving and resilience. But toxic stress is different. It lasts too long. There's no safe adult to help calm the system down. It's like an alarm that never turns off. The child's body stays flooded with stress chemicals like cortisol and adrenaline for years. And during childhood, when the brain is still developing, this constant stress doesn't just affect feelings. It physically changes how the brain grows. Research has shown that areas involved in emotional regulation, decision-making, and feeling safe in the world can develop differently under chronic stress. This isn't about weakness. It's about biology. The saddest part is the child doesn't know any of this is happening. They don't understand brain development or nervous systems. They just know one thing: the world feels unsafe and unpredictable. So they adapt. And these adaptations are actually very smart for a child with no power and no choices. Some kids become hypervigilant. Always watching faces. Always reading tone. Always scanning for danger before it arrives. Some become the peacemaker, the one who senses tension before anyone says a word and tries to keep everyone calm. Some learn to disappear. To be quiet. To need nothing. To take up as little space as possible. Others learn that keeping people happy keeps them safer, so they become experts at meeting everyone else's needs while completely losing touch with their own. For a child who can't leave, can't fight back, and can't change the situation, these strategies work. They reduce harm. They help the child survive. The problem is what protects you as a child can later hurt you as an adult. That constant scanning for danger turns into anxiety that never shuts off. Your body doesn't know how to relax because letting your guard down once meant something bad could happen. The peacemaker grows into an adult who feels responsible for everyone's emotions, fixing problems that aren't theirs and apologizing even when they did nothing wrong. The child who disappeared becomes an adult who feels disconnected from their own feelings, desires, and sense of identity. None of this means you're broken. It means your nervous system learned rules that once made sense and never got updated. Then there's shame, and this might be the deepest wound of all. When bad things happen repeatedly in childhood, a child's brain isn't mature enough to understand that it's not their fault. Kids naturally believe everything is about them. So when something keeps going wrong, the child assumes they must be wrong. If they were better, quieter, smarter, more lovable, maybe things would be okay. This belief becomes part of how they see themselves. This is the difference between guilt and shame. Guilt says, "I did something bad," which allows learning and repair. Shame says, "I am bad," which attacks who you are at. Your core. Guilt can change behavior. Shame convinces you that you are the problem and always will be. Large-scale research on adverse childhood experiences has shown clear patterns. People who went through more adversity as children are more likely to struggle as adults, not just with mental health, but with physical health, relationships, and stability. Higher rates of depression, anxiety, addiction, chronic pain, and stress-related illnesses show up even decades later. This doesn't mean childhood decides your fate. It means it explains patterns that otherwise feel random or confusing. What makes this especially hard is that trauma usually doesn't show up in dramatic ways. It shows up in ordinary moments. It's the way your body tenses when your phone buzzes. How a small mistake feels like proof you're about to lose everything. How calm feels unsettling, like you're waiting for something bad to happen. Compliments bounce off, but criticism sticks for days. You replay conversations in your head, searching for what you did wrong, even when no one else seems upset. These reactions can feel confusing, even to you, but they make sense when you remember your nervous system learned early that small signals could mean big consequences. Adult life rarely gives clear danger signals, so your body fills in the gaps. Tone changes, silence, uncertainty, or mild conflict get interpreted as threats because once upon a time, they were. Many people with difficult childhoods unconsciously recreate what feels familiar. Chaos can feel normal, even comforting, because at least it's predictable. Others go the opposite way and become extremely controlling, unable to tolerate spontaneity because unpredictability still feels like danger. The body doesn't seek happiness. It seeks familiarity. Another confusing experience is emotional flashbacks. These don't come with clear memories or images. You're suddenly flooded with fear, shame, or helplessness with no obvious reason. You feel small and unsafe, and because you don't realize it's coming from the past, your mind looks for explanations in the present, sometimes inventing problems just to make sense of the feeling. Healing from all of this isn't simple or fast. It requires noticing these old survival patterns, understanding where they came from, and recognizing how they once helped you. Then, slowly and repeatedly, choosing new responses, even when every part of you wants to do what's familiar. The brain can create new pathways throughout life, but it takes time, effort, and often professional support. The most important thing to understand is this: you didn't fail. You adapted. You survived with the tools you had in situations no child should have had to endure. That child showed incredible strength. But they don't have to do the job anymore. That child deserves rest. They deserve to let the adult take over the work of staying safe, making decisions, and building a life that isn't ruled by old alarms. You deserve care, safety, and compassion, not because you earned it, but because you exist. If this resonated with you, you're not alone. And you're not broken. Subscribe for more deep dives like this, and if you want to support the channel, consider becoming a member. Thank you for listening.